Hey everyone, and welcome to Butchyboom. I tell you, we're having some technical issues. I have a video that was supposed to be the first episode of our podcast, and something happened. I don't know what happened, but I can't find it. It's no longer on the server, and I don't know what to do. So I decided, you know what? I promised you guys something today at 8 o'clock. Welcome to the first episode of Butchyboom's Political Sauna, episode 1. Listen, I had no idea what the name was going to be, so this works out for me just a little bit. Listen, I can't even believe I'm bringing politics into our channel. It was never my intent. It was never my idea to bring politics in, but it seems everywhere I go, I'm pulled into somebody else's politics, and it makes me crazy. The problem is, see, it's not that everybody has an opinion, it's that everybody puts their opinion on me. And I'm not usually in a spot to respond. Before we get too far, I want to talk to our subscribers. I want to say thank you for continuing to hang with us. I'm not trying to offend you or anybody else. I just feel like I'm in a position where it seems like all anybody wants to do is talk about politics. So I have no choice but to talk about politics on this channel. Now, frankly, the video and the podcast that I have pre-recorded is quite harsh. And it comes down pretty hard on both the left and the right, because I'm a firm believer in folks finding a common ground. And all this idiocy that's going on right now is just beyond the pale for me. I don't like it. And so who am I? I get it, right? But between the far left and the far right, we got a bunch of bullies running around, and there's nobody in between. Now, I know it's going to piss some people off, and I don't really give a crap. What broke the straw that broke the camel's back was this. Back in August of this year, I started an exercise regimen for myself as a result, because my doctors told me that I have lung disease, and that if I didn't do certain steps, I'm going to be in big trouble. And one of them is to keep moving. So I've been moving like Forrest Gump, baby. I haven't stopped. I started walking a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit more and more. And now I walk a minimum of 10,000 steps a day, up to 25,000 steps. It's for my cardiovascular improvement, my health. And boy, I feel like I'm 15 again. That's not true. Maybe 30, but that'll work. So I go to the YMCA. I'll use the treadmill and I'll put it on various inclines. I'm able to now get up for a few minutes at a time, at least a 12% incline without holding on. And I'll clock that down from 3.5 miles an hour to maybe about 2 miles an hour, something as big as 2 miles I can sustain just a little bit longer. But when I get done, my legs are like, wow, boy, do they hurt. The trainer there who set me up with the e-gym, or one of them over there, had suggested that, check out the sauna because that's really good for the recovery. And other people had suggested that too. And it also helps with the breathing, to be quite frank. So I go to the sauna. It's usually 10, 15 minutes of, people with light banter. How do you get through the sauna? How long you've been coming to the sauna? What do you expect the outcome to be? That kind of thing. You know what I mean? We're just having light conversation. And some guy decides that, he really wants to up the ante and start talking about politics. And for the very short time that you're in there, do you really need to do that? And he turned out to be on the far right. Hardcore. I don't even want to get into what the topic he was trying to bring up, but it pissed me off to the point where I actually left the sauna and went next door to the steam room, really friggin' steaming mad. Literally. I mean, the steam's all over. I'm coming. Boy, I tell you, I was really mad that this guy's bringing politics into the steam room. Who does that, right? Don't you? Who raised you? Don't you have some kind of area where you just respect other people's boundaries. There's a time and a place, and that's not the time or the place. You know what I mean? So I sat there and I'm like, the steam was actually hurting my ankles. It was really hot in there. I got out, went back into the sauna, and I said to myself, I'm just not going to say nothing. This guy must have pissed somebody off, because he turned to the lady that was sitting next to him and said, I hope I didn't offend you. And boy, she shot friggin' daggers from her eyes looking at this guy, and got up and stormed out. I was like, uh-oh. I don't even want to know what was said. I don't really care. Just don't talk to me. I just want to relax. So he gets up and leaves and mumbles something along the lines, tough crowd today. What an ass. What an ass. You know what I mean? It's like, but you could feel the collective sigh of relief after it was all done. After it was all said and done, you could feel that, good, this guy is not here. And people can gather and relax. So it's light conversation that we're continuing, like, talking about travel. My father lives on the West Coast. This other guy was talking, and his father lives in Florida. This couple, a woman and a guy is sitting up there, and they talk about their fathers and their parents live down in Florida, whatever the case may be. So then that topic came up because they said, where did you go? Over to the steam room? I'm like, yeah, but I could only take it for a couple of minutes. It's too hot and steamy over there. He said, yeah, I don't like going over there either. It reminds me of the Florida weather. I'm like, I like the sauna because it reminds me of the Reno weather, that kind of thing. And we're talking about traveling and all kinds of stuff. And out of nowhere, someone starts bringing up, some guy had come in and then wanted to slide into the conversation and turn it. Now, we had a complete left wing kind of direction. And I'm like, I can't take it. I don't want politics. Why are we talking politics? Who does that? The time I've been coming to the sauna, you're spending 10, 15 minutes in the damn thing. Maybe 20. Do you have to talk about politics? What's so important that you have to bring it up? But it's so, I figured the sauna was the last place on earth that I could go without ever having to engage in politics. But nope, that's not the case. And you guys know I drive for Uber. If you follow the channel, and I hear all kinds of things in the Uber. Okay, and I'm not able to respond because Uber is a merit-based star kind of system. And I'm afraid that if I respond to some of these kooks and the things that they're saying, that they're not going to give me a good rating. They're purposefully going to give me a bad rating. So I sit there and I take it. I have no choice. It's what I do for a living. After all, most of these are only in there for 5 or 10 minutes at a time. I can deal with it. But when there's no outlet, and you got the hardcore MAGA, you got the hardcore woke. Someone's trying to friggin' either jam something down my throat or ram something up my ass all at the same time, and I'm just tired of hearing it everywhere I go and not being able to say anything back in return. This is like, it's wild, Yeah. And the state of our politics has got me to the point where it's like, I've never seen this before. I never thought we were going to be here. Because I'm live, I'm not going to do the agenda that I was going to, because I want to make sure that when I speak fact. I really need to make sure I speak fact during this podcast. I don't even know where to begin. So in this podcast, I want to talk a few things, okay? I want to talk about the people that are running for election. So we got a guy who's under indictment in Georgia, in New York, in federal courts. We got Biden, who's sitting president. His son is, I don't know if you know what's going on. But I'm hearing that some people are saying that Biden is the leader of the biggest organized crime family since the Gaudis. Okay. I'm not hearing, but you never know. It's like, so what's going on? There's such the vitriol, the hate and that I can't take it. That's why I'm starting this podcast, because there has to be a middle of the road. A middle of the road. And it all started for me in the sauna. So they broke the camel's back for me. The straw that broke the camel's back was the sauna. Come on. Everywhere you go, it's something. Is there any place that you can have where no one is trying to push their agenda on you? So I figured, you know what? If I'm forced to hear everybody else's side, you're going to hear mine. So I want to talk about Republican. I'm going to come right out and tell you that, yes, I voted for Biden. I voted for Biden as an alternative to Trump. I am a never Trumper. I'm going to come out and tell you that. Biden has, if you've followed politics at all, you know that Biden has ran for president many times. Okay, it's always been a fringy kind of, a jokey kind of thing. You never get Biden, nice guy and all that, but never you're never going to be president, dude. Why bother? You know what I mean? And nobody ever expected Trump to, and not even Trump expected Trump to be president, right? So, anybody but Trump, I'm one of them. And the reasons are because there's a lack of decorum. The guy has, how he got into office is beyond me. You can't say this is a Democratic issue. I'm a Republican, okay? Gary Hart, John Edwards, these are just two that come to mind, right? They couldn't run for dog catcher right now because the Democrats have canceled them just like that, because they lack the morals and the values enough to not cheat on their wives, kind of a thing, right? And have illicit affairs. So you can say what you want about the Democrats. And again, I'm not a Democrat. I am a Reagan Republican. That's me. Have been all my life. How do we have these two people as our only choice? Nikki Haley, so far she's had the balls to hang in there, right? I think that's amazing. But we know the reality. She's not going to be there. She's not going to hang out. So what are our choices? It's going to be Trump versus Biden again. Do you think the outcome's going to be any different? I don't. But I think the state of our world right now means that we have to pay close attention as to what's going on. We've got World War III, folks. I really, truly believe it, dudes. It's World War III right now. You've got Russia and Ukraine. We're in it, knee deep. You've got Israel and the whole Middle East and Iran. We're in that, knee deep. Knee deep. And then we got China coming up. China wants Taiwan. Taiwan says, no, we don't want to be assumed by anybody. We like our independence. And China says, too bad, so sad. We're going to take you. And America says, not so fast. What's going to happen? So it's a very scary time. And who we elect next is going to matter. Some people are even saying democracy's on the line. I don't know. I believe that we are a very strong country. I believe that sometimes, we get, our face gets a little dirty and, she cries a little bit, but we can dry our eyes and wash our face, you know what I mean? And still come out as one country in the middle. We don't all need to get our way. Sometimes we have a voice that we want to use and we have a tendency to speak very loudly, but not everything needs to be said all the time. There's so much ginning up of one another that it makes me crazy. And so it's not like, I'm doing this podcast because I'm tired of hearing one-sided things. No one is coming. I don't hear middle of the road people bringing topics up out of the blue in the middle of my Uber ride or in the sauna or anywhere else. I don't see, the middle of the road people aren't flapping flags on the back of their vehicles, and trying to show their patriotism that way. Make no mistake, I don't think anybody who flaps a flag is any more of a patriot than somebody who doesn't. I just, there's a lot of folks who, have joined the military that aren't able to fly a flag or can't afford to fly a flag. You know what I mean? So that's just, I don't go for any of that. The flag's not a weapon. A lot of people really aren't flying the flag right? But we won't get into that. We get what the point is. When I am speaking a word that's against power, in this case, Donald Trump, if I disagree with one of his policies or something that he's saying, now myself and people like me are rhinos. Excuse me, how in the hell did I become a rhino? I've been a Republican longer than Donald Trump. My Republican voting history is much stronger than Donald Trump. But you don't hear, this whole MAGA thing is something that's completely new. Make America great. I don't understand it. This whole fist pumping thing. What's going on with who are these fist pumpers? Who are you? What are you doing? What's the point? That bothers me. I really, I think that there should be a level of decorum with the presidency. You really have to watch what you say. We know they're all crooked, and maybe we want them all to be quiet and whatever, I don't know. I thoroughly despise hearing about the president every single day. I don't need to. Do you? Do you need to hear the president tweet about somebody or making fun of somebody? No, I'm very glad for that purpose. I support President Biden because he's my president. His policies and all that. Listen, we're not going to, I'm not a big fan of a lot of things. And I don't know what's going on, whether or not, he's a criminal or not. I truly don't know. I know that Trump has been indicted. So he has been accused formally. Until Biden is indicted, it's informal. If he's guilty of something, we need to address that. Personally, and this is going to be very controversial, I know people are going to think that, oh my God, he's gone off the deep end. I believe that Kathy Hochul and Governor Kemp, Kathy Hochul of New York, Governor Kemp of Georgia, and Joseph Biden of the United States of America ought to sit down and make a list of Donald J. Trump and all his cronies and issue a full and unconditional pardon to each and every one of them. If they accept that pardon, they admit guilt, right? That's the way a pardon works. So I would at least do that. I think that would be a phenomenal offer of goodwill. And it would take a whole bunch of animosity, I think, off the table. Now let's just get with what's going on. What is his position? I know that's controversial. I can just tell. Yep, I think this should be a pardon. And it'll quiet things down. That's just me. There's a middle of the road. You take the pardon and you are done. You admit you're a criminal and move on. Is he a criminal? I haven't seen all the evidence. Is Biden? I don't know. I haven't seen all the evidence. I know there's a lot of people who say these things. I just don't know. So I wondered about the integrity of the people who are trying to enter office. And right now, our choice is Trump, Nikki Haley, Biden. There's what's that? Robert Kennedy and some lady, Marianne, somebody. I have no idea who she is. Everybody bowed out so quickly. It's like you're bowing down to the dear leader. Why are you backing out? Why don't people want to have a debate, even if Trump doesn't want to join the debates? There are still us moderates out there who want to see the country go forward. Who do you want at the helm during World War III? And, you get the border crisis going on down there. Where is and this is on both sides, where is the action? Where is the compassion from down there? I just read, and I understand, listen, I'll tell you about this in a minute. A convoy, a bunch of 50 trucks, apparently trucking for Jesus in some way, shape, or form. Going down to help protect the border. I don't know what you're going to do now. What are you going to do but stoke up and gin up animosity and take the attention off from what the authorities and everybody need to focus on? So now they got to intervene and make sure that you guys don't get in the mix. I don't understand what you're trying to do. Our country isn't based on vigilantism. Texas is never going to succeed anywhere. I know there's been a lot of talk about that. We are nowhere near civil war. We have this. They've had this talk since the beginning of time. There's never going to be that. As long as we can do what I'm doing right now, is speaking what we want and what we have to power. There's no alternative facts. There are facts, but there's nothing alternative about them. So if we get to a factual basis, and if we start saying, let's draw a friggin' line and say, yep, no more about this one here has done that, so this person has the free reins to do that. Nope. From here on out, you do wrong, you're screwed. Public trust should never be betrayed. I am concerned with the far-right MAGA movement. I am very concerned about that. And I realize not every single Trump supporter is MAGA. And to that extent that they are, that they're not extreme hardcore MAGA. I understand that the majority of MAGA, a good portion of MAGA, are what a lot of folks describe as evangelical Christians, hardcore Christians. When I think of hardcore Christians, I think of my experience when I was a young man, early teens perhaps, going to a Southern Baptist church in Round Rock, Texas. And that would put it in the very early 1980s. Okay, I'm 57. And I know that it was very, very, very strict. Really, the women weren't wearing pants. Very, very strict family structures. Very polite. You didn't, everybody had their place. You didn't, you respected mixed company. You didn't disrespect your elders. Very tough. No drinking, no smoking, no gossiping, none of that. There was none of that. And you went to church and every time the doors were open, and you were there every time everything was based around church. So when I see signs that say FJB on them. Hashtag FJB. Are you kidding me? So why are these so-called evangelicals putting that up? Are you really evangelical, or are you just trying to stoke things? I believe you're a stoker. While my religious belief is different than the evangelicals, I am Catholic. I've experienced all kinds of religions. They're good people. I can't imagine, when why, what is going on that, and what's happening that people will still support Trump no matter what. It's like he has some magic yoni. He's got, this man yoni going on. You don't know what it is? Look it up. It's like everybody's got this attraction. He was right when he said that he could walk down Fifth Avenue, shoot 5 people, and still be elected president the next day. He's right. There's so much I want to talk about when it comes to him. But I had a discussion with somebody I respect earlier, and it suggested that perhaps I need to tone things down just a little bit for it to not offend other people. Inadvertently would be one reason. And the other would be is that sometimes my words that I'm choosing to use could be construed as lies. So I'm trying to be very thoughtful with what I say, because the last thing I want to do is lie. I want to be factual about it, because that's, again, that's part of the problem is we have too many alternative facts. I want to be honest. We can have honest conversations here, folks. There has to be a middle ground. We don't need the likes of Antifa and Proud Boys thumping their fists and marching through town trying to scare the shit out of people. That's too extreme. Give me a break. Who are these people? Just because you can doesn't mean you should. That's my belief. We can be honest. I'm not saying that there's not occasions where you have to sugarcoat the truth a little bit or soft pedal the truth to make it sound better. Because if you care for people and humanity, you may not want to be as brutal all the time, because sometimes the truth can be brutal. But we can't shut each other down and say, oh, you are this because you don't agree with that. When someone's going to snap the party in line, well, that, to me, that's very scary. It's very scary. I'm not going to make any bones about it. I don't like Donald Trump. I don't like him. 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 I don't like him as a person. I don't like his demeanor. Ew. How can he be with E. Jean Carroll? Ew. Oh, I can't erase that, can I? I guess not. It's out there. Ew. Texas. People are saying that that's going to be the next front of the Civil War. That's the front. That's going to be where everything starts. It's going to be over immigration. It's going to be because Texas says that they've had enough and they're backing out. They're seceding from the Union. I laugh at that. Now, listen, I went to 7th and 8th grade in Texas, Webb Middle School, Garland, Texas. So I took Texas history. You have no choice. So I know that they can secede from the Union pretty much for almost any reason they want, almost at any time they want. They can also, conjure up some rules and laws that can attempt to counteract or countermand other federal laws. But to think that Texas can just say bye-bye to the United States is ridiculous. So they're never going to secede. And let's talk about why. So let's say, for argument's sake, that the federal government provides Texas money for maintaining mass transit. I'm sure that there's contributions to that, right? I'm sure that there's contributions to the highway system in Texas. There's a lot of highways in Texas. The federal highway system provides a lot of money to states. Money to maintain the desert and the groundhog. I don't know. There's lots of money. But just that, let's just say that comes to a screeching halt. No more free lunches in school, that kind of thing. That's all federally backed thing. The books, whatever books you have, you're never going to be able to afford anymore because of the funding for that comes from the federal government as well. Even though they're decided and printed in Dallas, they all get funded by the United States government, right? And so now let's talk about higher ed, right? So you've got some great colleges and great education in the state of Texas. A lot of these are paid for through grants from the United States government, Pell, and student loans that are backed by the United States government. Those will go bye-bye too. So the education institutions are going to crumble to the ground. It's going to be like ancient Rome. Rome wasn't built in a day, but it burned down in one. Texas would become a third world country almost overnight. It's not Texas Heart Institute in Houston. They're one of the best heart institutes in the United States of America, located in just outside of Houston. I believe it's part of the whole campus, MD Anderson, too, the cancer center. We're world renowned. People come from all over the world to get cured and treated for their cancers. In fact, my father actually went from Nevada to MD Anderson. Used his Medicaid insurance, not Medicaid, he doesn't have Medicaid, he had Medicare. Supplemental plans. Huge cancer treatments that man had. The federal government, United States government, probably gives MD, and I mean, they're paying for research, they're paying for doctors, their education, their trainings. They're teaching phlebotomists and nurses, support staff. Federal government helps contribute to that stuff. That's all going to be gone because you can't take your Medicare or your Medicaid money or your Blue Cross or Blue Shield and go to Mexico or go to Canada. You're just not going to do it. They won't approve it. So major institutions like MD Anderson are gone. Texas Heart Institute, gone. What, you think that Texas is going to survive on their oil? You're not going to be able to sell your oil to America. Oklahoma can support oil. Louisiana can support oil. You won't be able to afford the tariffs that you're going to have to pay to put your oil on the market in the United States. So you want our fruits, you want our vegetables, but you don't want to take everything that comes with it. Now listen, people who are saying that are scaremongers. There is a crisis at that border. There's no doubt about it. Oh, man, the humanitarian crisis. There's no doubt about it. And I don't have the answers for that. Hate is not the answer. Hating the people trying to get across the border is not the answer. We don't need to hate. We need to understand, have some empathy, sympathy where we need to. I think that everybody ought to have a right to enter this country, but they have to do it legally. There has to be a way that those people can get to a port of entry. Now, my understanding, there's like apps and all kinds of things that people at the border can hang out. And sorry, you're going to have to wait there on that side of the border. Mexico has some responsibility here. And the people who are migrating from other countries further down into South America, up through Mexico needs to step up. These other countries on the routes need to step up and offer these people housing along the way and jobs and, the same thing that you're expecting us to do. I agree. This should be a united effort to help these true refugee people. If they're truly refugees. And I don't know the answer to that. I don't want to say the wrong thing. I know that we cannot just say there's no borders in America. We can't just let everybody come in. I know we can't. Okay? That's reality. We can't. It's got nothing to do with, skin color or anything else. People want to make this into a racial, issue kind of a thing. No, it's got nothing to do with that. It's definitely humanitarian, though. It's definitely humanitarian. And something has to be done. I think every effort needs to be done. Why are they leaving their home countries in South America? How can we help them stay there? I'm sure a lot of them would rather just stay. Then they can bring the values of the free world to their home location if they could stay. So why aren't they staying? Why are they trying to get to our country? I know people say that burns my ass too, because people say, "Oh, our country's terrible," but they're still breaking our borders down to get in. Europe does it better, then go. I don't, that's the kind of shit that gins people up. And we're going to focus a lot on this podcast. I feel like I got caught off guard having to do this live. I don't script things. I don't have a plan of what I'm going to say. I have a general idea. I will tell you that I'm not impressed with something, a word that I had heard from Trump, who wants to be the president of the United States. Who wants, he's going to be the leader of the free world. And I don't know if he said it in joke, if he said it in jest, but he mentioned the D word, the dictator word. And I have a tough time with that. Because we had a revolutionary war. And we're not Russia. We're not China. We should never have a dictator in the Oval Office, not even for 1 second. Don't even joke about it. That's what would cause a civil war. Is there somebody gets into office and then suddenly tries to become a dictator and not leave office? That will cause a civil war. I think America can withstand everything except when you fuck with the peaceful transition of power. Peaceful transfer. The continuity of government. When you mess with that, then you are messing with the countryman. You're messing with the Constitution. That's something worth talking civil war over. But all these other people talking about civil war, they're trying to gin you up, folks. Donald Trump is not the savior from civil war. Biden is not the savior from civil war. There's only going to be a civil war if we want them to be, if we want a civil war to happen. If you want to listen to all these people who want to gin you up and stoke you up, go ahead. Go ahead. But make no mistake about it. These talking heads on some of these networks, they're there to get paid. And that's why they keep talking. And they say the words that you guys want to keep hearing. Don't believe everything you read. Don't believe everything you hear. Like Jesse Waters, who is this guy? He was a guy that was going out in the street corners asking gotcha questions. And now people are taking his words as if he's like George Washington. Well, Jesse Waters said, who the hell's Jesse Waters? Shit. I don't know. I don't want to talk about politics, and we're going to see how this does. I'm really disappointed that it was not a video, and I apologize for that, because now you're not going to, there's probably a lot of people who couldn't find this. I'm going to have to figure out how to do this and correct it. But you guys are my witness, whoever watched or listened, that we did have a podcast. I was here a minute or so after 8 o'clock. It's 8:44 p.m. Eastern time. I'm going to end the stream by saying thank you for watching and listening. Please join us every week, every Monday at 8 o'clock. I promise you next week it'll be much better. And I'm grateful to talking to my brother earlier, because I feel I needed to tone down. I feel better now, and I'll find other ways to express myself in this podcast. Anyway, thank you guys so much. God bless you. God bless America. God bless our troops. And please, 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 please pray for peace.